the order, and thereafter we had the cabinet secretaries, at least as we had counted from that. Opio Wandai, Energy; Hassan Ali Joho, Mining; Kipchumba Murkomen, Interior; Salim Vuria, Sports; William Kabogo, ICT; Engineer Eric, who is heads the water docket; Beatrice School; Davis Chirchir, Transport; Adan Duale, Health; Julius Ogamba Migos, Education; and Dr. Deborah Asa, who heads the environment docket. The ODM leadership thereafter had also viewed the body of the former Prime Minister, whose casket was draped in the Kenyan flag, and also as he was presented in the headscarf of the Orange Party and the color that he so adored. The chairperson, national chairperson, and Governor Gladys Wanga led the way, followed by the deputy party leaders, the Senator Godfrey Osotsi, Governor Simba Arati, the Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, Junet Mohamed, Governor Johnson Sakaja, Nairobi County, Rosa Buyu is among one of the elected leaders from Nyanza, Luo Nyanza, and also Millie Odhiambo, who we had seen earlier hanging on to one of the vehicles that was part of the entourage of the vehicles that had escorted the body of the former Prime Minister that was carried by the gun carriage from the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport to the Moi International Sports Center in Kasarani. We are waiting when the public will be allowed to start viewing the body of the former Prime Minister, a man who with so much ease has won over their hearts and has of course made evident by the multitude of people who today came out to receive his body at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, and the others who had waited for the body in Parliament. Now you can see them dancing, awaiting when they will be, of course, allowed to view the body of the former Prime Minister. It is a day that equally was dominated by other activities that had happened also in Siaya, his Bondo home, where we had seen his elder brother Oburu Odinga, who had gone there, the co-chair of that committee, that National Funeral Planning Committee, who had led a process which from our team, our sister station, Ramogi TV, had informed us that it's a process in Luo called Tero Nyak Dala, which is a Luo phrase that refers to the traditional ritual of announcing the death within the family of a member or a community. It is also a difficult period and a painful task, often involving the announcement by a close male relative, such as the father of the deceased, which is loosely translated to taking the cry home, emphasizing the emotional weight of what the process bears. The former Prime Minister, of course, he was symbolized by many, and as you had seen, even when his body is, the public awaits to view the body, how he was lying in the coffin, the neck scarf that is the orange color, and we haven't gotten the close enough pictures of the coffin, but we had seen the respects that were paid by the president, who had led the family and other government dignitaries, the deputy president, the former president Uhuru Kenyatta, the chief of the defense forces, General Charles Kahariri, and the three service commanders. The cabinet secretaries, we had seen 12 of them who had paid their respects, the ODM party leadership, which had followed course, and outside the public continues to wait. Here are lawmakers Millie Odhiambo and Babu Owino, who represents Embakasi East, and just in close proximity with the people who are waiting for clearance before they are allowed to view the body of the former Prime Minister and pay their respects as well. In consultation with a member there, the Embakasi East lawmaker who is watching what's happening on the pitch as the people await when they will be allowed, and that has been the question that they have been asking. You can see the General Service Unit officers blocking them away from the entrance that not sure whether it leads to where exactly the body of the former Prime Minister is and how they will be allowed to also view the body of the Prime Minister, which was jetted back to the country this morning from Mumbai in India, following the long flight to and from Mumbai, which had taken off from the JKIA yesterday, 5 minutes to 7 p.m. local time, and landed some minutes past 3 a.m. before again flying back home, bearing the casket which had the body of the former Prime Minister. We can see the agitation among ODM supporters here, perhaps signifying something, and they seem seeking some direction on what happens next and when they will be allowed also to view the body of the former Prime Minister. We had also spoken to Jim Mbogo, who had given us an update regarding what has happened before they were dispersed and had gunshot sounds rather, and alongside Ben Kirwe, who we had also in Kasarani. Once we get hold of them, we'll be able to also seek further information from them. And this is the current state of affairs at the stadium. Quite a busy day also for the logistical team that had moved the viewing to this venue, given the logistical challenges it did present when earlier on the communication was yesterday issued by the Deputy President, Professor Kithure Kindiki, that this process will be happening in Parliament, and thereafter the quick decision that was made when the public who came out to wait for the body of the Prime Minister in Parliament had overpowered the security apparatus. And the intervention of the Speaker, Moses Masika Wetangula, didn't help either. And here's Millie Odhiambo speaking to the public. And also by her side is her colleague lawmaker from the ODM party, seems to be giving suggestions that they will be allowed in to also view the body of the former Prime Minister. And quintessential politician, also one of the most consequential women in Kenya's politics, whose debates in Parliament have been characterized by astuteness and steadfastness and preparations, as she has always modeled herself to be. They seem to be the two only lawmakers, and Babu Owino and Millie Odhiambo, who are here to speak to the public. And Millie had suggested some minutes ago that could be the likelihood that they will be allowed, and it's the planning process of how that will be managed, which was the challenging part of what's been happening in Kasarani since the body of the former Prime Minister was brought here aboard the military gun carriage after the President yesterday, through a proclamation after he addressed the nation from State House, said that the former Prime Minister will be accorded state funeral. and all the privileges that come with that process. Still, our team at the Kasarani Stadium, where this is unfolding since has been unfolding. The passion of Raila's presence seems to be so strong, as you can see also amongst the supporters. This is a young generation that probably may have not been there when the struggle for multipartyism happened, but in so many ways the Odinga influence seemed to have driven them all the way here. How it happens is going to be what we are monitoring, and the public viewing of the body of the former Prime Minister, Raila Odinga. For now, I'm joined by my colleague Gatete Njoroge, who is at the stadium. They were there alongside Ben Kirui and Jimmy Mbogo. Gatete, a good evening. Seems to be a long haul. Looks like a long day. Any hints at when the public will be allowed to view the body of the former Prime Minister?
Good evening, Ayub. Indeed, it has been a long day, and we've been thinking it will be a long night, Ayub. We're inside Kasarani Stadium, and we've been here from around 11 a.m., Ayub. And since that time, we had a crowd surging, where thousands of people had turned out in large numbers to be able to get a chance to view the body of the late former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, Ayub. But until now, Ayub, the public has not been able to view the body of the late Prime Minister Raila Odinga. This is because at around 4 p.m., the crowd that I had gathered here in their thousands tried to approach the VIP section. The VIP section where the President William Ruto, together with the retired President Uhuru Kenyatta and other dignitaries, were there waiting for the body of the late Prime Minister Raila Odinga to arrive at the stadium before the official commencement of the process of viewing the body. But at that particular point, the police officers, the security officers who are there, they had to actually shoot in the air and also lob tear gas to be able to just disperse the surging crowd. From that particular moment, Ayub, and a good number of those who had turned up at Kasarani Stadium, they left the stadium. But we still have a sizable number that is still here. And when the leaders were viewing the body of the late Honorable, the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, what happened is that we saw the crowd. They moved from the terraces and they came to the middle of the pitch where they lined up, and we thought they'll be allowed to view the body. But until now, for the last about 30 minutes, there's no clear communication on whether they'll be allowed inside to be able to view the body. What is happening at the moment, there's a standoff. You can see there are those who have lined up, and if my cameraman can just show you closer to the VIP, you can see there are a number of security officers, majorly the GS2 security officers, who are blocking a good number of people who are actually going upstairs to try and access the VIP section where the body of the late Right Honorable former Prime Minister is lying in state. At the moment, Ayub, let me say it's a standoff. We are not yet sure. We have seen a number of leaders up there trying to calm the crowd. But at the moment, Ayub, there is no clear communication on whether they'll be allowed to go inside and access the area where the body of the late former Prime Minister is lying in state. But at the moment, Ayub, we are camping here. We are trying to see how the situation will be, and we'll be bringing you up to speed with what will be happening, Ayub.
Gatete, thank you. Much appreciated for the brief assessment that you had given us. Still, we are keeping an eye on the Moi International Sports Center, Kasarani, and waiting for, or keeping an eye in that regard, for when the members of the public will be allowed to also view the body of the former Prime Minister, Raila Odinga. And on your screens at the moment is the Embakasi MP, East MP Babu Owino, who is seemed to be giving some directions to a member of the security agencies. A while ago, he was in the company of his colleague lawmaker Emilio, as the supporters of the former Prime Minister and members of the public gather, awaiting when they will be allowed to see the man they had cherished for so long. Listening to the public and perhaps what they are saying. Our cameras still trained on whether they will be allowed through the entrance. The lawmakers were allowed to pay their respects to the former Prime Minister. A representation, of course, which was across board, including former President Uhuru Kenyatta and the Chief of the Defense Forces, General Charles Kahariri, and the three commanders of the three services, the Air Force, the Navy, and the Army, the cabinet secretaries that we had seen, and also the leadership of the ODM party. Quite interesting scenes that we are seeing, and we'll be keeping an eye here on Kasarani to see what happens next. And also in Bondo, where on Sunday the former Prime Minister will be laid to rest. We'll give you the updates as they develop, and Kasarani will be our focal point of attention and where our cameras are. Yes, Kidi. Finally, the reality seems to be setting in.
I yield the floor to my brother Materi.
Okay, please.
Yeah, I know it's quite difficult, a very, very difficult moment for both of us. With the experience that we had with the former Prime Minister. And immediately the coffin was presented in readiness for viewing. Beside it was President Ruto, the former President Uhuru Kenyatta, then Mama Aida was there. And the thought that immediately rang in my mind is, where is Raila?